After 60, your gut changes in ways nobody warned you about. The bloating, the heaviness, that feeling that your stomach never fully empties. That's not just discomfort. That's waste that's been sitting in your colon for days. Sometimes longer. Fermenting and pressing against your abdominal wall while your digestive system struggles to move it out. Most people reach for a fiber supplement or a laxative when this happens, and for a while, those things seem to work. But fiber without enough water just compacts the problem. And laxatives? Your gut gets dependent on them fast, and then they stop working entirely. What most seniors never try is a different category of remedy, one that works at the enzyme level, at the bacteria level, at the mechanical level. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 natural remedies, ranked from gentlest to most powerful. The third one has been used for thousands of years across South Asia, but almost nobody in the Western world talks about it for gut health. And by the end, I'll give you a simple 7-day morning suggestion you can start tomorrow, with things you can find at almost any grocery or health food store. Here's what's actually happening inside your body, because once you understand it, the remedies make complete sense. The gut wall is lined with smooth muscle, layers of it. Muscle that contracts in rhythmic waves to push food and waste forward. Those contractions are called peristalsis, and they're what keeps everything moving through your system on a regular schedule. After 60, that muscle weakens. Not dramatically, not overnight, but gradually. The same way your leg muscles lose strength if you stop using them. The waves get slower and weaker, and food spends more time sitting in one place instead of moving forward. At the same time, your stomach starts producing less acid. Your pancreas releases fewer digestive enzymes. These 2 things together mean food doesn't get broken down as efficiently as it used to. So instead of being cleanly processed and moved along, it sits in your gut longer. And it starts to ferment. That fermentation is what produces the gas, the pressure, the bloating that so many people over 60 describe as constantly feeling full, even when they haven't eaten much. And then there are the medications. If you're taking blood pressure medication, pain relievers like ibuprofen or acetaminophen, or antacids regularly, those all slow gut motility further. That's not a reason to stop taking them. It's just context. It explains why the problem compounds over time, and why solutions that worked in your 40s don't do much now. There's one more factor: water. As people age, the thirst sensation weakens. You genuinely feel less thirsty, so you drink less. So the colon doesn't have enough fluid to soften and move waste along. The result? Old, compacted waste sitting against the colon wall, sometimes for 3 or 4 days at a time. Now that we understand what's driving the problem, here's what you can actually do about it. Starting with the most gentle option and building from there. Remedy number 1, coriander seed water. The first remedy is coriander seed water. And I want to be clear, this is the seed, not the leaf. Not cilantro from a fresh bunch. The dried seed, which you'll find in the spice aisle or at any Indian grocery store. This one's the gentlest of the 3, which makes it the right starting point if you have a sensitive stomach, or if you deal with acid reflux, or if you've never tried any kind of herbal gut remedy before. Your system gets a chance to adjust without any shock. The way it works comes down to 2 compounds in the seed, linalool and cineol. Both of them relax the smooth muscle of the intestinal wall. When that muscle relaxes, trapped gas gets released. It moves through the system instead of building up into pressure and bloating. This is why coriander works specifically on that tight, gassy bloating sensation. It's not acting as a laxative, it's acting as a muscle relaxer for your gut wall. To make it, take 1 teaspoon of whole coriander seeds and put them in a cup of warm water before bed. Let them steep overnight. In the morning, strain out the seeds and drink the water on an empty stomach. Some people prefer to boil the seeds in water for 5 minutes instead. Both methods work, though overnight steeping tends to be gentler. What you won't get is urgency. There's no cramping, no sudden need to run to the bathroom, which matters a lot if sudden bowel urgency is something you're concerned about. It works slowly over 2 to 4 hours. By day 2 or 3, most people notice their belly feels less tight, less distended by mid-morning. And the gas pressure that usually builds up after breakfast starts to ease off. Remedy number 2, Psyllium husk water. Coriander handles the gas and the pressure. But if the actual problem is old waste that's been compacted against your colon wall for days, you need something that works on a physical level. That's what Psyllium husk does. And it does it in a way that's honestly pretty easy to understand once you see what this stuff does in a glass of water. Stir 1 teaspoon of Psyllium husk into warm water and watch what happens. Within about 60 seconds, it thickens into a dense, almost gel-like consistency. That gel is the whole mechanism. When you drink it and it moves through your intestines, it doesn't just pass through passively. It pulls water into the colon. It swells up, and it physically grabs debris that's been sitting against the intestinal wall and carries it out. People call it an internal broom. And that's actually a pretty accurate description of what's happening. Why does this matter more after 60 specifically? Because the colon wall loses elasticity with age. And the mucus layer that normally coats the inside of the colon and keeps waste moving gets thinner. Waste sticks. It dries out against the wall. And the colon's own contractions, which are already weaker as we covered earlier, aren't strong enough to dislodge it. Psyllium does that mechanical work from the inside. Here's how to use it properly, because the timing matters. Take 1 teaspoon of Psyllium husk and stir it into a full glass of warm water. Drink it immediately. Don't let it sit, because it'll become too thick to drink comfortably within a few minutes. Then drink a second full glass of plain water right after. That second glass is not optional. Without enough water behind it, Psyllium can actually make constipation worse rather than better, because it absorbs fluid from your colon instead of adding it. There's one constraint that's worth paying attention to if you're on medication. Psyllium slows the absorption rate of certain drugs as it moves through the gut. Thyroid medication and blood pressure medication are the 2 most common ones affected. So take Psyllium at least 2 hours before or 2 hours after any medication you're on. Not to avoid it, just to separate the timing. Within 24 to 48 hours, most people notice a significant increase in bowel movement volume. That's the accumulated waste moving out. It can be surprising the first time, which is worth knowing in advance. That said, this isn't something you'd use every single day. 3 to 4 times per week is plenty. Daily use over time can make your bowel movements dependent on Psyllium to happen at all. And that's the opposite of what we're trying to do here. So coriander releases the gas. Psyllium clears the physical buildup. But neither of them addresses the actual reason the problem keeps coming back. The enzyme deficiency. That's the root of it. And it's what the third remedy goes after. Remedy number 3, Ajwain seed water. Of the 3 remedies in this video, Ajwain is the one that gets to the underlying cause, rather than just managing the symptoms. It doesn't just move things along, it restores something your gut has been losing for years. Ajwain goes by a few names. You might see it labeled as bishop's weed or carom seeds in stores. It looks like a slightly smaller version of cumin or caraway, and it smells sharp and herby when you crush it between your fingers. In Ayurvedic medicine, it's been used specifically for digestive complaints for thousands of years. And what modern analysis found inside these seeds explains why. The active compound is called thymol. It's an essential oil concentrated in the seed, and it does something that neither coriander nor psyllium can do. It directly stimulates the release of digestive enzymes from the gut lining. Remember that your stomach acid production and your pancreatic enzyme output both decline with age. Thymol essentially signals the digestive system to wake back up and start producing again. It's not replacing the enzymes from outside, it's prompting your own gut to make more of them. There's a secondary effect worth mentioning. Thymol is also antimicrobial. In a gut that's been sluggish for a while, low-grade bacterial imbalances tend to develop. Certain bacteria that produce excess gas and contribute to that sour, heavy, rotten feeling some people describe after eating. Ajwain pushes back against those bacteria directly, which is part of why the relief it produces feels more complete than what you get from the other two. To prepare it, bring 1½ cups of water to a boil. Add 1 teaspoon of Ajwain seeds. Let them boil gently for 2 to 3 minutes. Strain the seeds out. Let the water cool until it's warm but comfortable to drink. And drink it on an empty stomach. You can add a very small pinch of sea salt if you want. The minerals help draw water into compacted waste in the lower colon, which helps things move more smoothly. If you have acid reflux, Ajwain is actually gentler on your system than you might expect, because it speeds up gastric emptying, meaning food leaves your stomach faster. There's less acid pooling and backing up. Most people with reflux find that Ajwain water reduces symptoms rather than aggravating them. Within 30 to 60 minutes after drinking it, you'll likely notice a warm sensation in your lower abdomen, and then a natural, unpressured urge to use the bathroom. No cramping, no urgency that catches you off guard. Just your digestive system working the way it used to. Use it a maximum of 3 times per week. This is a deep cleanse, not a daily drink. Now for the 7-day suggestion. Days 1 and 2, use coriander seed water. Let it prepare your gut gently and release any trapped gas. Days 3 and 4, switch to psyllium husk to clear the compacted waste the coriander has loosened. Days 5, 6, and 7, bring in Ajwain water to stimulate enzyme production and finish the cleanse at the root level. After that, rest for a full week before considering repeating the cycle. Your gut after 60 isn't broken. It's just running low on the enzymes and muscle support it needs. And these 3 remedies work on that from 3 different angles. Think of the 7-day suggestion as an experiment, not a prescription. Pay attention to how your body responds. Adjust if something doesn't feel right. And if you're on medication for thyroid, blood pressure, or diabetes, run it by your doctor first. If this was useful, there's another video on this channel with a simple morning recipe for the exact same problem. A drink you can make in under 2 minutes, with ingredients you probably already have in your kitchen. If the bloating, the heaviness, the slow digestion keep coming back, that recipe is the next thing to try. Check it out next, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming.